Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a huge paradox that's playing out in businesses everywhere. Companies are spending billions, literally billions, on AI, but so many of them are seeing next to no real return on that investment. It's something called the AI trap, and we're going to break down why just buying the shiniest new tech can be a total recipe for frustration. All right, let's dive in. So first up, let's talk about this expensive AI trap. And if you're a leader or even part of a team that's trying to get this stuff off the ground, this whole story might sound, well, a little too familiar. And let's be clear, the level of investment here is just staggering. Organizations are absolutely pouring money into AI. We're talking powerful models, cloud infrastructure, hiring the most specialized talent they can find. If you were just looking from the outside, it would seem like a revolution is well underway. But that brings up the real billion-dollar question, doesn't it? With all this cash being spent, with all this incredible talent, why are so many companies just stuck spinning their wheels in what feels like an endless cycle of pilot programs? They run these proofs of concept that look great in a demo, but they never ever seem to translate into actual business value. It's like all that momentum just hits a wall. And that leads us right to the core idea here, the capability trap. It's this completely mistaken belief that just by acquiring the AI capabilities, the fancy models, the data scientists, all the computing power, that you're actually making progress. But what this really does is it just creates readiness for value. It doesn't actually realize the value. Honestly, it's like buying all the best ingredients and the most expensive kitchen gear for a five-star meal, but then never actually cooking anything. Okay, so if just buying the new software isn't the answer, what is the real problem? Well, the answer means we have to reframe this entire challenge. And it turns out, it's not really about the technology at all. This image just nails the central argument. AI transformation isn't a resource problem. It's an organizational operating system problem. Think about it. You can't run a sophisticated, cutting-edge piece of software on a clunky, outdated machine from decades ago, right? The real bottleneck isn't the tech, it's the company itself. So, how in the world do you diagnose a broken operating system? Well, we can actually use a really powerful tool from the late, great Clayton Christensen. It's called the RPV framework, and it is fantastic for showing us where the true roadblocks to innovation are really hiding. The RPV framework is actually beautifully simple. It just breaks any organization down into 3 layers. First, you've got your resources. That's the stuff you can buy or hire, right? Talent, tech, cash. Then you have processes. These are the established ways work actually gets done day to day. And finally, you have values, the core principles that really decide what gets priority and what gets funding. And here's the absolute key. Resources are flexible. You can go out and buy them. But your processes and your values, man, those are rigid. They are deeply, deeply embedded in the culture. They're actually the source of your company's current strengths. They were built over years to make things consistent and predictable. But they are also the biggest source of resistance to change. This is where all of the friction is. All right, so let's dig into the main conflict at the heart of this AI trap, because it's basically a clash between 2 totally different ways of operating. To make this super real, let's just take an example. Picture a big, established bank. They do exactly what everyone thinks is the right thing to do. They go out and spend millions of dollars hiring a team of absolutely brilliant data scientists. So far, so good. They've got the resources. But, and this is the punchline, the bank's internal process for approving any new risk model, this rigid bureaucratic process designed for a world that existed long before AI, still took a full 9 months. The very system that was meant to create stability completely choked out the speed and agility the AI was supposed to bring. And that right there shows you the fundamental mismatch. Our old legacy processes, they were built for a stable, predictable world. They're linear, they're rule-based, but AI systems are the total opposite. They are probabilistic. They learn from data. They get better through constant trial and error. Trying to manage a dynamic learning system with a rigid, old-school process is just a guaranteed recipe for failure. And believe it or not, the problem goes even deeper than our processes. It's actually baked into the very structure of our organizations. I mean, you know how most companies are built, right? They're in these functional silos. You've got marketing over here, sales over there, operations in their own world. And these structures were designed to make each function efficient within its own little box. But AI doesn't care about those boxes. Its real power comes from cutting across all those silos, connecting data from everywhere to make smarter decisions. So, what happens when you try to force a cross functional technology like AI into that siloed structure? Well, you get exactly what you'd expect. You get turf wars over who owns the data. You get fragmented adoption, where one team is sprinting ahead and another is still at the starting line. And you fall into this local optimization trap, where one department looks great on its own dashboard, but the company as a whole sees zero benefit. Okay, so given all of these deep systemic challenges with our organizational operating system, how do we actually escape the trap? Well, the solution doesn't start with a new piece of tech. It starts with asking a completely new question. Way too often, leaders start right here, asking, how do we adopt AI? And this is a total technology first approach. It just assumes you can buy AI and plug it into your company as it exists today. And as we've just seen, that's exactly why it keeps failing.
The right question, the one that actually unlocks progress, is so much more powerful. It's how must our processes and our values evolve to actually capitalize on systems that can learn and adapt? See how that flips everything? It shifts the focus from implementing a tool to evolving the organization itself. It's about changing how we operate, not just what we buy.
This quote just brings it all home perfectly. The real constraint here isn't what we can buy, it's our own ability or inability to evolve how we work. So I'll just leave you with this one thought. As you look at the AI initiatives happening in your own organization, ask yourself this really critical question. Are we upgrading our capabilities faster than we are evolving our operating system? The answer to that question might be the key to finally escaping the AI trap. Thanks for joining this explainer.